Mel?
Thank you, Chair. This has been a long night, and we've heard lots of different views as to the viability or not of this scheme, the impact or not on Brentford, and what we're going to leave for our children and our children's children. There are a number of councillors that are not on planning because of its size who also have reservations. Questions have been asked tonight, and as we've gone along, there have been a number of different imponderables that have been thrown into the melting point of maybes and mights, and not least of which is the 20% discount for the for local small business and the 20% discount for the rents. Well, first of all, I'd like to see if this does get approval tonight or whenever, that is actually goes into our section 106, if that is permissible via our legal guru sitting not a million miles from you. To vote against this lock, stock and two smoking barrels, on balance, it is not an option. However, there is an option which is available to us, which I shall come to in a minute. And why I say that option is available to us is for a very, very good reason. As I've said, as the evening has progressed and we've listened to the presentations from the developers, we've had the very valuable support from the officers as to what can be, what is and what might be, has left me probably more confused than I came here at 7:29 earlier on this evening, and if we stay here for much longer it would have been yesterday. However, I think it is important that we get this right. As I said, to throw this out, lock, stock and two smoking barrels isn't an option because we owe it to the people of Brentford to come up with something. I don't hold the view, and never have held the view ever since I first saw this, that something is better than nothing. That too is most definitely not an option. Some of the things that have been put forward to us this evening, with a lot of thought and some tweaking, I think eventually would be acceptable for a development going forward, even though I have grave reservations about the viability of the affordable housing and at the end of the day that we're going to get it. The one thing that I am really concerned about, and it's a shame that we haven't got more detail on, and that is that there is an actual commitment, and I mean not a pussyfooting one, an actual commitment to relocate the Waterman's Art Centre on this site, because I think had that real commitment been there, I think this this proposal would have been more acceptable, again with some tweaking here and there and some goodwill on all sides. So I'm going to be bold. I'm going to suggest that we actually defer a decision for accepting the three items that we're being asked to accept this evening. And the reason I'm doing that is for the very first question I asked when you, Chair, very kindly called me as one of the first contributors, and that was that any development that comes before a planning committee should have the basis of the plan that we're actually going to look at. Sketch drawings and hearsay, it's been there for 2 years, is simply not good enough. What is good enough for a planning committee that has to make a determined decision on what is a whole life-changing aspect of Brentford and the surrounding area, should have had all of the relevant detail. Sadly, what we got from the developers this evening was a damn good sales pitch, but not a lot else. There are a lot of elements of this which are acceptable. There are some which are totally unacceptable, and that's the character of the buildings, which unfortunately we didn't see, but I've had the pleasure of seeing in other places. Nevertheless, they should have been up there for us to be able to discuss with the developers. So, Chair, may I formally move that we actually go for deferral on the basis that what's being offered to us tonight by the developer and by our officers should be worked up, and that a proper scheme brought back to us in the not too distant future, because it's too precious, for us to actually give a reasoned and proper debate on the information that we've received and been given tonight. So I formally move deferral.
Right. Does anyone want to second that? Right, well, clearly not. Right. Oh, Nizar.
I'm not seconding it.
Oh, no. Well, no, I'm going to. No. I'm calling Tom first. Tom.
Thank you, Chair. I hear and accept and support quite a lot of what Mel has already said. I really do. I think I saw some nods around the table. I saw some nods in the audience when Councillor Collins was talking. I think any significant development is always going to prove a challenge to meet the needs and aspirations of all concerned. And as Mel has outlined already, this is absolutely no different. There are clear concerns raised by people tonight, and through emails and through correspondence that I've had. And I've got my own as well, as clearly Councillor Collins does. The affordable housing certainly was an issue, but I accept I was not just on, I was chair of the planning committee that approved the Brentford Football Club's Lionel Road development, which had zero affordable housing. But the one thing I was really adamant about, that and was confirmed then as being confirmed this evening, is that mitigation against the rising costs. So increase in cost, increase in revenue will increase, and we've heard that tonight, will increase the amount of affordable housing, which I fully support, and I'm glad absolutely glad that's in there. The lack of a retail strategy was certainly an issue as well, but I'm pleased to hear a commitment tonight. I just want to confirm before I carry on, is that in a condition that there will be a retail strategy on each part of this, in each stage, sorry, thank you, in each stage of this before these stages will be approved? Can I just have that confirmed?
Currently there is a condition for each phase, but because of the discussion earlier, we were thinking of moving it to the 106. Benita.
Can we just have that explained?
Yeah, I mean, could we actually have had that in words of one syllable, if we could?
The planning authority considers it acceptable, and I believe the developer would agree to require that the 106 does include provision for the retail strategy, the 20% floor space for local businesses, and the 20% market rate discount.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. I'm very pleased to hear that. I'm also delighted about the community spaces and the 1.7 million towards education, which is, as lead member for Children's and Education, I'm absolutely delighted about. Although perhaps not in some of the ways that some people would like, much of the heritage areas are being kept, and I think that was supported by Andrew Dacres about what Ballymore have done, and which is excellent. There are rarely any black and white issues in planning. We sometimes get some. This is clearly, no exception to that. It is a hybrid scheme, as was pointed out by Alid much earlier in the evening. We're looking at some detailed plans on some of it, and an in-principle proposal on other bits. It is a balancing act, one that often happens in planning. Certainly happened on the Lionel Road development for Brentford Football Club. Certainly is in this case. However, on balance, I will be supporting this, and if it's okay with the chair, I would like to move the recommendation for approval.
Okay, is that seconded? Shan? You have the right to speak. Right, further debate? Yeah, Nessar, you.
Thank you, Chair. I think all of us sitting here tonight, especially the members who actually bear the responsibility of making the decision, benefits to everyone, having respect of all the objectors who are present, but also the people who are actually not present, who are actually going to be looking at regeneration, looking at making sure it's the right scheme we pass. So all of those things putting in balance, yes, there are issues with people have actually aired, and particularly the retail strategy. And as we've been assured that it will be stage by stages to make sure that it's a part of condition. And I think considering that these things don't come around the corners every day, we have to be very sure that we are making the right decision. And this is for, as my fellow Councillor Collins said, Councillor Collins said that it is something which is actually for next generation and the generation after and all the rest. And I think it's very, very important that we considered it very carefully, and we really look at not only the people in the room, but also the people who are not here, and what impact they're going to have on their lives for not having it and having it for both. And I think, I believe that there is opportunity, and I would like to say that I think I'll be supporting this application.
Okay, Manjit, next.
Yes, Nisar has covered my points, so I support this application.
Right, Sheila?
Thank you. I beg to differ with the last two speakers and the proposer. I think it's too great a leap of faith, as our financial advisor was saying there. While the design's quite good from what we've seen of it, I don't think the quality of life of future residents is going to be up to much at all. And I don't think that the height of the buildings is going to do, or some of the buildings, is going to do any favours for people who are already living quite close to this site. Basically, to get a decent financial return, it seems the scheme has to be too dense and it has to be too high, and everything has to be too close together. The lanes are okay in a sense, but the lanes that were there originally, when they used to have do leather curing and all the associated activities that goes with that, the buildings were only 2 stories there. If you read what Andrea Cameron says, our noted historian. I'm sorry, I think it just needs to be that bit better, and it's not there for me.
Liz?
Thank you. I think, like Tom, I've sat on a lot of planning committees, and it's not often we get such a big scheme coming up before us, and I mean it's something that's going to impact the lives of thousands of people who are living in Brentford now, in Hounslow now, and in the future. So this is a leap of faith. It is a planning for the future, and it's got to be the right investment for the future. You can't say, I think, tonight that anybody here is against redevelopment in Brentford. I think we all recognise that it's not a go-to place. I said earlier about I live in Feltham, we have our own challenges, but there's nothing that would make me have to go to Brentford. There's no place I want to go and eat there, there's no shopping I want to do there. I don't see anything that would attract me. And I'm being very honest when I share that with you. You live there, you'll have a different view, probably feel the same with Feltham, you'd never go there. So, but we are part of one borough. This is Hounslow. And although we have a few jokes with our Chiswick colleagues, etc., saying you are still part of Hounslow, as much as Feltham is part of Hounslow, Hounslow West, Hounslow Central, and Brentford. And you see tonight the colleagues here, we are from all around the borough, so you do get quite a varied view. I think this proposal, it feels to me, tonight we're not approving everything. This is the start of the development. Anybody who's come to these meetings before or follows planning law will know that things can change. Developers can change. They actually sometimes want to do variations, etc. So all that is open in the future to happen. And I think for us, we understand as well that any proposal that's put to the council and the community, and even with the developers, you can't please everybody. You're not going to get everything you want. But I think it's very important that we've heard tonight the aspirations that local people want to become reality, and I think that can be done. The people, and I would say to the developers, listen to the people who live in Brentford, because they'll probably give you the best advice that will enhance your development for the future, because they know what it's like to live there. So finally, I really want to be in a position in a couple of years' time where I want to go to Brentford, where I'm coming to eat in Brentford, where I want to be sitting in the square, enjoying a nice sunny day and having a nice gin and tonic with Councillor O'Reilly, sitting outside and enjoying it, and seeing a place that's been, wow, look at this is wonderful, it's been opened up to the local community and to everybody in Hounslow, not to just people in Brentford. So I will support this because I think it is the start. But I really do, please do be assured any variations, anything that comes into this committee, it will be very closely scrutinised. Thank you.
Right, Catherine.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a particularly difficult decision for me to make. This is within my ward that I represent, and since I've been elected in May, you know, I've talked to a lot of residents in the ward about their aspirations for Brentford, local businesses and local people, and I've heard a lot of differing views on that, and we've heard differing views tonight, and it's very difficult to say, you know, what is the best thing for Brentford. But as other speakers have said, there is a very definite wish to have Brentford developed and to have something better for the people there. And I did have serious concerns with some aspects of the plans as I read them and as they were put forward. However, I do feel that most of them have been addressed in some form or other, given that nothing is ever going to be perfect. Obviously, affordable housing, you know, is absolutely close to my heart, and 10% seems like a very disappointingly small number. However, we've heard about the viability strategy and the viability assessment. We know that if the value does go up, we can get more affordable housing out of this. And I think one of the key points about the affordable housing in this is that we will be getting the block up front in order to do that, rather than waiting for them to sort of drip through. However, I have to say, you know, if you were going to ask me objectively, yes, of course I'm disappointed with only 10%. The retail strategy, that's something I was really wanting a commitment on, and I think I've had that. I think we're getting that, and that's going into the section 106 is good news. I'd like to ask that specifically includes a transition plan, so that it's the strategy for the businesses that are already here now, that are going to have to be here throughout this development, not just the new ones that are coming in. So can we make that specific? Is that possible?
Yes, it is, and just an update, we can put that in, but just an update, talking to the developer, that there was also mention of allocate 20% to local business space, a 20% discount. Developers agreed that should be for 5 years.
Okay, thank you. So that's good news as well. And I was pleased that that's one of the things that came out of tonight. There's been lots of talk about the design and disappointment on behalf of residents with some of the design elements. Again, to stress, it's only 3 of the blocks that we are approving in full tonight. So with the others, there will be the chance for those to be reviewed. I really do hope that Ballymore does talk to people, talk to residents and businesses, and really properly consult, because there is a sense of disappointment in this room that people feel they haven't been listened to. So I think the good thing about this development is, as Elizabeth said, we're only at the beginning of it, and there's much more to come, and that provides you with an opportunity to go and talk to people about what they really want. Personally, I find some of the design quite exciting. I like Block K. I think that's quite an exciting block, with the sort of crane aspects. I'm sure there's plenty of people who disagree with me. I like, I'm excited about the opening up to the water, the aspects of the heritage that are being kept, and the open space that's being provided. So, and to conclude, I will be supporting this, and I do hope that it is the start of something really good for Brentford.
Right, Shan?
Chair, annoyingly, everyone said what I wanted to say, so I'm not going to be a broken record. All I would reinforce Councillor Dunn's point about future development and Ballymore really engaging with the local community, because although there were 600 people, or 700, depending on whose interpretation you get, in favour, there were still 260 odd against, and it's a lost opportunity if you don't address those going forward in your future endeavours. The hour is late, Chair, so with your permission, I'd like to move that the question be put.
Indeed, and just actually to echo your last point, just say to Ballymore, remember the detailed parts of the future development are coming back here. So it's us you're going to have to convince. Right. Well, move that the question be put. Can I see all those in favour of approval? That is with the amendments and the changes to the 106. Yep. Okay. Those against? And those abstaining? Indeed. Okay, well, thank you folks. I declare the meeting closed.